Hi all, let's have a look at the round 5 game. Michael Adams, Britain's leading Super Grandmaster, 2748 against Veselin Topalov, 2760. So Michael Adams played e4, we have e5, we go into the Berlin defense, so knight f6. Now the Berlin defense with knight f6 is the second most popular choice actually after a6. So you've got a6 or knight f6 here. Knight f6 is played. And now usually either castling or knight c3 is played. Actually we see an immediate d3. This is the third most popular choice in live book. Bishop c5. Now quite often c3 is played here, or the alternative, bishop takes c6. D takes, we have knight bd2, bishop e6, pretty standard here so far. Quite often in this position knight d7 is played, but we have bishop d6, and now here quite often b3 is played to put more pressure on e5 in this position. For example, b3, knight c4, we've got some pressure building up. Sometimes the bishop doesn't even need, though, although b3 has been played, it's not played actually much in this position. It seems bishop g5 or bishop e3 here, because black's been encouraged to concede the light square bishop there, so bishop actually doesn't need to deploy there against e5. Okay, but that's one sample continuation, b3 here, but there's a slightly rarer move, but has been seen before, d4. Now one basic idea, this immediate threat d takes, winning a piece, and also takes, we win a piece. So black just reinforces e5 here, and now we have knight takes e5. This move order is interesting actually, because here there's been 4 games of d takes, but it can amount to the same thing as the game. Knight takes e5 first, knight takes, d takes, we have bishop takes, another forcing move f4. So white is accelerating his f pawn here. There is a check, and now f5 is a key threat to consider, especially with other possibilities later that it introduces. We have f6, kind of defensive move, just to demonstrate some of the possibilities here. If castling f5, this is quite dangerous, queen g4, then we have things like knight f3, and it looks dangerous, this position, because there's always bishop h6s on the cards, but also there's another way that maybe it's this bishop defending here, there's another way to take out that defensive bishop and play like this, where actually it's very dangerous, this position, say this, because actually the bishop can swing back sometimes. For example here, bishop e3 to skewer the queen against g7. So this can actually sometimes be extremely good. This variation, where black would have to give up the exchange with rook takes d4, as an example, is going to be great for white. So yeah, there's some dangers associated with just castling, it seems, here. This f5 is quite dangerous. We have basically in this position after king h1, f6 was played. Okay, so f6, we have c3, bishop moves back there, f5 now, and here very interesting move indeed. What would you play here if I give you 5 seconds starting from now? Okay, this is a very, very interesting idea. e5, yeah, because this seems more although this seems direct here, black might have continuation like this, queen takes, and just basically use that g file where black's going to just castle queenside, and it will be extremely dangerous, this g file. Very dangerous position indeed. So actually this first guarantees that queen g4 here can bounce off g7 to hit e5. We have black countering with queen d3, tying down the knight. That's taken, but now we have queen takes e5 check, and the king is not castling. It's moving around slowly. It goes to d7. Black now threatens bishop d5, looking at g2. White plays queen e4, hitting the queen. The queen goes back, keeping an eye on f1, which ties the rook. f6, which vacates the f5 square. So in the event of bishop d5, there's queen f5 check. We have rook a e8. The check is played here anyway, because there's always a key check here, for example, on bishop e6. Let me just check that for you 100%. Yeah, I think the move here is queen takes, and then actually f7 is very, very good for white. So that's move is bishop e6 is sorry, in this position is no good. We have actually king d8, so the queen, yeah, the king looks awkward, but is white in a position, look, all his pieces apart from the knight and queen are out here, is white in a position to exploit this is a very curious position. White tries to free up the knight now by playing c4, blocking that queen, so the knight's now free to go to f3. Queen a5, hassling the queen here. Queen drops back. So if white gets organised, yeah, the king's in the firing line. If white can move the knight, then this check looks extremely dangerous, with the pawn actually covering some squares as well. This would be extremely dangerous. But queen b4 is played. And you might wonder here, can we not try and use the d file? Actually, in the game, queen takes h7 was played. Let's have a quick look. The knight's been freed up from the previous, mentioned that c4. The engine suggests actually knight b3 or knight f3 are actually to white's advantage in any case. Say here the check, because actually the point here is that there's f7. It looks very scary, but I think black's ultimately losing material in this line. Take here to extinguish g2, take here and then sort out the back row with bishop f4. Yeah, white's just massively better. So knight b3 or knight f3 seem plausible actually, and dangerous for black. Yeah, this all seems very dangerous. This line might provide on the check king c8 where black's okay, but even here queen takes h7 here instead, and then there's f7. If king c8, there's f7. So it's all pretty dangerous, this position here, but this is also a good move. Queen takes h7. White's still in the driving seat. We don't have to play the exact computer moves every turn. Queen f8 when we're in a good position. Queen f8 just as long as we maintain having the advantage. So queen f8, b3. That supports more the c4 pawn. White is getting ready to connect the rooks. Bishop d4. Yes, that does seem a downside, that the rook's exposed here on this diagonal. But now this pin. Queen d6, and now there's a very, very clever point of this, which really confused me when I was looking over this game, prior to preparing this video. The clever point is on knight e4. With the rook attacked, you might think, hang on, hasn't black got rook takes e4 here? Black Topalov played queen d7. The thing is, if he plays rook takes e4, yeah, queen takes e4, bishop takes. Can you see what white has here, which gives him a winning position with simplification? If I give you 5 seconds. Okay, bishop f4. And I believe white is getting back his material with interest. just if he plays queen e6, what we do is just take that and take here. I mean, there's some other interesting possibilities here though. Queen takes f6. I think we could take on c7 and win the queen, and this position is curious imbalances, but picking up the bishop there with check. So this is a very fascinating position. If queen d4, then there's queen e7 check and queen takes c7. So this all had to be factored in. You know, this rook takes e4 looks as though, hold on a sec, you know, rook takes e4 in this line. But actually, it is the engine's top choice to play rook takes e4 and go in for this. I'll show you the exact sequence mentioned here. The best move is indicated as actually being rook g4. But even in this line, white cashes out and simplifies with bishop takes d6 because there's a key check here, and then we can take the bishop. And this position is to white's advantage, but maybe this is black's best chance of somehow doing something, although it looks unlikely. The reason is, yeah, we've got two connected passed pawns here. I don't think the opposite coloured bishops save black, especially with that pawn on f6. Now this looks as though it should be winning for white. So yeah, it's all hunky-dory, but maybe rook takes e4 was the best try in theory. But queen d7 was played. Now we have rook d1, nasty pin. So if c5, I think we just snap that off. Knight takes c5 because we're on d7 after. That doesn't help. King c8 was played here, which it's looking pretty desperate actually. King c8. Black is relying on tactics here, counter tactics. Black is the one relying now on counter tactics to restore material balance. So we have some fireworks. Queen takes d4. Yeah, and if queen takes, yeah, black's just material down. There's no way to nudge the rook away from the knight. You know, or is there? let me just check this position as well, just out of interest, because there is a slightly vulnerable back row. This position. No, white gives back the piece. White has to give back the piece. Plays like this. This is good for white. Yeah, no. Okay, so black actually lunges with. Technically, that's the best move to go for that, but black goes for queen g4. Yeah, it's all or nothing with Topalov here. All or nothing. But there is an elegant refutation of this whole. What we have here is a you know, nasty pressure, nasty pin potentially, and threatening mate. How does white address all this stuff? And you know, also like rook takes e4 to be addressed. Well, there's a very, very clever move tactically that is played in this position. So the situation here, white is a piece up. What does he want to do? Ideally, he wants to mate black. How can he try and do that? Actually, he finds a way to kind of weave a mating net in this position with this next move. And also secures his back row in the process. This back row is vulnerable with the rooks not yet being connected. So this next move ticks quite a few boxes actually. Can you see what white plays if I give you 5 seconds starting from now? Okay, bishop g5. It connects the rooks, secures the back row. Also, of course, there's another possibility here of queen takes a7. Black takes some material back, but now his king is in a bad way. After queen takes a7, queen a8 check, mate is threatened. And also, of course, bishop g5 blocked against queen g2, giving white the time to actually threaten mate without being mated either on the back row or on g2. So very clever stuff. We have now another tactical move in this position, which is bishop d5. So black wants to be able to play things like rook takes g5 without being mated. So a tense position. And you'll note here the bishop's protecting the rook, so you might think, okay, what is going on? Very, very good continuation is played here. Now just let me, Queen A8 check was played, but let's have a look what would happen. What is Topalov's idea on c takes? Actually, a little bit better than rook takes is just queen takes to have this threat on g2. White's still better with just protecting against the g2 mate. White's technically good, but there's a much, much stronger continuation than c takes, which is the check. And after king d7, the point is here that, okay, the rook, by the way, is now attacking the queen and the bishop's protecting the rook. White plays a crushing move. Can you guess? White's play. Okay, rook takes d5. Yeah, it takes away the defender of g8 with the check. And black resigned here. Black resigned. It looks to be over. If white had taken on g8, by the way, can you see what black plays in this position? Actually, the bishop's not really protecting because it's pinned. But what does black play in this position which would win? Can you see? If I give you 5 seconds, black to play and win here. Just rook e1 check, opening up the bishop on g2. So the next move would be mate. So white's got to tread carefully. Yeah, rook takes d5 is essential. Not actually from the perspective of the rook. Actually, it's about not being mated here. So rook takes d5 is about not being mated primarily. And then we can safely take on g8. Let's check the final position. Take on g8 is indeed what white should do. And any threats to mate here are too slow. Queen takes d5, check, protects g2, and then f7 crashes through, and there's nothing for black to say about that. So yeah, Topalov didn't carry on after rook takes d5. That was it. A very, very tactical game there. Very, very tactical possibilities. Some conclusions for the game. I like e5 to make queen g4 more effective. Very, very interesting, energetic play. The king was curiously in the centre for a lot of the game, didn't castle. When it did go to the queen side, queen takes a7, and set up by white was threatening mate and defending. That bishop g5 was a star move. Bishop g5 was absolutely an essential move to connect the rooks, to block the g file. Very, very tactical, exciting game. I think the only decisive game that day. So it kept the spectators happy that there was some bloodshed that day, some exciting game like this. Very, very exciting. It seems Topalov's taking a few risks, though, in this tournament. He's kind of semi-retired. Apparently he's putting more attention on family than preparation. Maybe but, you know, it's great that he's in the tournament. I think he's a very interesting player, win or lose, Topalov, to have spicing up the tournament. But, yeah, great play from Michael Adams to keep control here and not have the disastrous possibilities thrown at him. So yeah, comments, questions, likes appreciated. Thanks very much.